We're back for your ears only. I'm David Alpern.
And I'm Mark Garber with this quote from the news. It denies a fundamental right. That was a federal appeals court in Denver ruling against Oklahoma's voter-backed ban on same-sex marriage less than a month after its similar ruling against a ban in Utah. Also last week, it was reported that President Obama would sign an executive order barring federal contractors from discriminating against gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender employees. Now this.
Compassion is like a muscle in the brain. You can train it, make it stronger, and made more available in times of need. Cutting-edge MRI studies have actually revealed that a simple visualization technique can strengthen your compassion muscle. And you can do it right from your couch without breaking a sweat.
That's Professor Sri Sarma in an online episode of Brain Games, the National Geographic Channel program that uses experiments, illusions, and man-on-the-street demonstrations to explore the science behind the mysteries of why we say, eat, feel, and act the way we do, with episodes devoted to risk, language, addiction, food, and more. The show answers practical questions like, why can't I stop checking my smartphone?
An assistant professor at the Institute of Computational Medicine, Department of Biomedical Engineering at Johns Hopkins University, Dr. Sarma researches modeling, estimation, and control of neural systems. On Brain Game, she did an episode on compassion, addiction, and language. Dr. Sarma, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Compared with how much we know about the human body in general, how far along are we in understanding the brain?
Well, the human brain is arguably the most complex organ that controls not just our body, but also, as you said, the way we feel, think, and make decisions. And although we've made significant progress in understanding parts of the brain, we have a ways to go in understanding it as a whole.
Concerning compassion, you scrutinize the motivation for both selfless and selfish acts. What might surprise us about what's behind them?
Well, often we help people or are more compassionate towards people that are more like us, that might appear nice and are more similar, like a relative. And actually, how we choose to be selfish versus selfless is actually modeled by a simple formula. So the formula is the benefit of helping that particular person multiplied by how similar that person is, the relation. If that product is greater than the cost of making the effort to help, then we will choose to act selfishly, selflessly, otherwise we'll be selfish. So it's a very simple model.
Well, talk more about that simple exercise that can develop one's muscle for compassion.
So the idea is you can sit on the couch comfortably, you close your eyes, and we take you through a series of techniques where we say, first, just imagine you are with someone you love, a relative, and that person is smiling and feeling happy, and you're just closing your eyes and you're feeling good because this is someone you love who is happy. And then we say, okay, now think of someone that might be at your workplace, so not a relative, and that person's smiling and happy. And we go through this series of thought processes that help you link, good feelings to people, going from people you love to complete strangers. So it's sort of exercising that link to feel compassionate towards even strangers.
Addiction is another focus of your interest and of Brain Games. It's common to apply the term to everything from drinking coffee to using Facebook. You claim that we're all addicted to something. What's the difference between real addiction, obsession, just strong and steady preference?
Well, steady preferences, habits, obsessions, they're all actually some type of or form of addiction. So an addiction is formed when a particular stimulus, like the ring of your cell phone, is linked to a reward, like the sound of your friend laughing on the other line. And if this is reinforced frequently, then that becomes an addiction. And this is why we can't get over having to look or answer our cell phones tens to 50 to 100 times a day. It's because we're constantly reinforcing the idea of a buzz, a vibration, a light, or a ring to something that is rewarding.
Brain Games also delves into some reasons why we eat what we eat, taste, nutrition, how maybe we can change our preferences or habits.
Yeah, so take the example of potato chips. So I'm sure you've grabbed you have a bowl of potato chips. Why can't we just eat one or two? We have to eat the whole bowl. Well, there is a bit of science behind this. So it's the idea, again, it's an addiction. It's linking what? It's not just linking the salty, nice taste of a potato chip, but also when you crunch on it. It's actually a crunchy type of food, and that's an auditory stimulus. So you've got two stimuli that are reinforcing and linked to something that tastes good and makes you feel good. So it actually turns into an addiction. So, habits.
Concerning language, you say words may be the closest things humans have to telepathy. How close can we come to reading each other's minds as opposed to simply understanding what we tell each other?
Yeah, so language is really interesting, and it's quite complex. So language comprehension depends not just on the words that form a sentence, but actually how the sentence is articulated, like the tone, the pitch, the accent, and if you're communicating in person, body language plays a very key role in how one interprets what's being said. So that's why emails can go badly wrong, right? Because you can't hear the person saying what you're reading. You don't see any body language. So often things get miscommunicated over email. So language is not just about the words, but how it's articulated and how it's expressed.
What's the science behind the maddening phenomenon of getting a song lyric stuck in one's head, often ones we don't even like?
Right. So these things are called earworms. Sometimes they're known as brainworms. They're catchy pieces of music that constantly repeat in our minds, even though it's not even playing. So you might have heard something catchy, and as long as it's less than the capacity of your what's called auditory short-term memory, so on the order of 15 seconds, you can get hooked. And then even when it stops playing, it constantly replays in your working memory, and so it actually is an annoyance.
Biomedical engineer Dr. Sri Sarma of Johns Hopkins University. Brain Games is on July 21st at 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific times on the National Geographic Channel.
Sometimes you think you've lived before all that you live today. Things you do come back to you as though they knew the way. All the tricks your mind can play.
Quote from the news, "Thirsty for justice." That was one of the signs carried by 300 demonstrators in downtown Detroit after the city's water department threatened to cut off services to tens of thousands of customers unless they pay delinquent water bills.
Next, Alexandria by the Bay, the free-to-all Internet archive for your ears only.